much indeed. We focus on Madagascar. It's reported that Andry Rajoelina has fled the country. The president was under intense pressure in the wake of so-called Generation Z demonstrations against corruption, poverty and a lack of opportunities for young people. Those protests began on September the 25th. People rallying around the pirate flag from the manga comic One Piece. That might have given it a kind of comic edge, but there was a real serious quest behind all of this. The aims of the protests quickly translated into political pressure on President Rajoelina. Military sources say he was flown out of Antananarivo by a French Air Force jet. Here at France 24, Siobhan Silk has this on the situation in Madagascar.
Celebration in the streets across Madagascar followed reports that the president had fled the country, and after units of the army defected, joining the protesters to topple the government. The protests, led by young activists and students who branded themselves as Gen Z Madagascar, erupted in the former French colony on September 25th in response to power and water shortages, but quickly escalated into a broader uprising against government corruption and poverty.
It's as if we were reliving Madagascar's independence a second time. Because it's not just students like at the beginning of the protest. There's just about everyone.
Andry Rajoelina served as Madagascar's leader from 2009 to 2014 before returning to power in 2023. Military sources said he left Madagascar's capital Sunday on a French military aircraft, which took him to the island of Île Saint-Marie and then out of the country. Our media partner, RFI, reports that the ousted president, who also has French nationality, escaped after striking a deal with French President Emmanuel Macron. The median age in Madagascar is just 20 years old, and 3/4 of the population of 30 million lives in poverty. The young protesters are calling for across-the-board reforms.
First of all, the system must be dismantled. Each demand should be resolved. And only then will the people of Madagascar make their choice.
The anger against Rajoelina mirrors recent Gen Z protests in Nepal, where the prime minister was forced to resign last month, and Morocco, where young protesters there are demanding that the prime minister step down.
Thank you, Francis. There, let's show you images just coming into us here at France 24. It is the Madagascar President, Andry Rajoelina. Currently speaking. We will try to get you more on this, where he is, what he's saying, what it's about, as soon as we can. This is the first time he's been seen since apparently fleeing the country. Let's bring in Luke Freeman, expert on Madagascar, its culture and its politics, for more on this. Luke, we're seeing Rajoelina speaking. As we get any clarification there, or we can go to it, we will. In the meantime, sir, give us your take on the situation.
Well, Rajoelina has left the country. We know that. We know that he was escorted out on a French military jet with President Macron's approval. And President Macron has spoken of the importance of obeying the Constitution at this point. But the facts really are on the ground. He's left the country. He doesn't have a government in place because he dismissed the government just over a week ago and hasn't rebuilt it yet. So he doesn't have a government in place. He doesn't have the support of the armed forces, and he doesn't have the support of the people. It's going to be very difficult for him to come back from this. We'll see what he's saying in the speech. The speech was due to be given a few hours ago and has been delayed. So let's see what he says and what his intentions are.
Indeed. Once upon a time, Rajoelina was the man with the plan. He was the solution. How did he become the problem?
He came to power initially in 2009 as a young man in his 30s, actually too young to stand for president, but there was a way round was found. He has floundered ever since, basically because he hasn't been able to address the real root problems of poverty, lack of education services, lack of health services, and a growing population and a growingly militant population. Instead, he's focused on what you might call vanity projects which might make Madagascar look modern and dynamic to the outside world, such as a brand new football stadium, a téléphérique, which in English is a cable car system as a transport solution for Tananarive, which really isn't that because the ordinary people can't afford to ride it. It costs 4 times as much as a bus. So these big showy projects have, for him, distracted from the undertow of poverty, which is dragging the country down. And that's what people are cross about.
Indeed. I can recall many years ago, maybe 15 years ago, reading about the idea of Madagascar selling off, renting off swathes of land to countries like Daewoo in South Korea in order to grow crops to be taken back to those countries. And clearly that involved an exchange of money. What happened to that kind of funding?
That's a very good question, and I'm not able to answer what happened to that kind of funding. This was one of the things which he used against the president he replaced, Rajoelina, saying, look, this guy's selling off great swathes of the ancestral land to foreigners to grow food. Shouldn't be doing that. It's clear that similar deals have been ongoing under Rajoelina. It's really difficult for him to take a stand on that particular thing. Look, there are big suspicions of corruption and misuse of funds in this regime. Madagascar ranks 140th out of about 180 countries in the Transparency International Index. So we know that corruption is rampant, and we know that the public, and particularly the Gen Z who've been protesting, are pointing the finger at Rajoelina as the main culprit in this. That's not to be proven, that hasn't been proven, but that's the public perception.
Dr. Freeman, Luke, your passion for Madagascar and for this topic comes through in everything you're saying. Do you see any particular sequence of events that is going to help Madagascar through what is clearly a very deep crisis? How do you see the future panning out? What do you think can be done right now to change things?
I think the important thing right now is to obey the Constitution. Whatever happens, right, this mustn't fall into something which can be categorized categorically as an unconstitutional change of power. At the moment, I think it can still be argued that what's happening is within the Constitution. So as long as that happens, as I say, I think it's very unlikely Rajoelina will come back. His choice now is really how he departs. And the choice of the politicians is how they stay on side, as it were, with the Constitution to see him depart. The challenge for the Gen Z is to still have a stake in this conversation now that the army and the politicians have taken the lead in moving this forward. We don't want to see a situation, and the Gen Z certainly don't want to see a situation where all of their efforts get taken over by the old guard who they want to see replaced and who to them represent the old system that they want to see overthrown. I think we do need a renewal in Madagascar. We do need a restructuring of the political processes and structures, and that will entail a constitutional reform. But that can happen slowly, peacefully, and in time over the next year. Let's hope that that's what happens in Madagascar, rather than unconstitutional arguments and then the rejection by the international community of Madagascar and all the financial and economic implications that would bring.
Dr. Luke Freeman of University College London, expert on Madagascar, thank you so very much for your analysis. We really appreciate it. Andry Rajoelina, President who has fled the country, is speaking, and we will have more analysis of that in our Africa programme coming up very shortly. Once again, thanks to Dr. Luke Freeman for joining us. Great to see you. And I urge you to stay with us. We're having a very short break. And after that, of course, our Eye on Africa. Stay with us for that.